from a person who has been right on all the big issues for a decade, and a person who has the energy and, yes, the youth to take us forward into a better, stronger, and more united future.
Hey guys, welcome to UnPontificated. My name is Vuyo, and yes, that was the rally yesterday in Alberta. Supposedly, they say there was 15 to 20,000 people there at this rally of Pierre Poilievre. Guys, I hope you've been seeing some of the rallies. At Mark Carney's rallies, 1,000 tops. You see 600 people, just 1,000 people at his rallies. You know, they try and make it look big, but it's no match for the rallies that Pierre Poilievre is having. And you saw Stephen Harper there giving his endorsement. Guys, please like and subscribe if you like this content. So the Harper endorsement was huge. Why? Because Harper has worked with both Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre. And you heard Stackelberg there say that that was a unique situation. Stephen Harper himself said it was a unique situation. And he said, given that situation, unequivocally, without a doubt, he endorses Pierre Poilievre. Wow, that was a huge endorsement. I'll be interested to see what the polls are going to say after that rally. What are the polls saying now? Well, here's what Nanos is saying at the moment. Now, this was before the rally. Liberals 43.9, Conservatives 37.2. I mean, when you look at the amount of people coming out at the rallies, this looks fake. This looks like just nonsense. But you know, we'll see. Supposedly these are a accumulation, average of all the polls out there. But this is the CBC poll tracker. I think I said Nanos, but it's a CBC poll tracker. And this is what Abacus data has to say again before the rally. Liberals and Conservatives are tied at 39%, no change. NDP at 11. The other ones had NDP under 9. So this is interesting. I mean, these are polls, so you don't know who, you know, people are talking to whoever, and it's always a hit and miss. But this is what they're saying. It's close. It's close. But if you look at the rally size, it's not close. Guys, we really need to wake up and smell the coffee. I hope people aren't being duped by Mark Carney and his suave, you know, resume, his suave look. He's looking ministerial. It's actually kind of scares me to think that people are getting duped by this. He's not the best person to deal with Donald Trump. And that's what his resume, that's what they're trying to push, that his resume makes him the best person to deal with Donald Trump. I want to show you something from Juno News.
Mark Carney backed Bill C-69, Trudeau's No More Pipelines law. It's killing energy projects right here at home. But guess what? While Canadian workers get left behind, Carney's company, Brookfield, is busy buying pipelines in the US, in Brazil, around the world. Shut down Canadian energy, profit off everyone else's. Mark Carney, blocking Canadian jobs and banking foreign billions.
Thing is, we don't even know truly how much Mark Carney is worth. This guy, he's got to be a billionaire. You'll see what Candace Malcolm here says about how this guy made his money.
Hi, I'm Candace Malcolm, and this is the Candace Malcolm Show. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. We are back, and in week 3 now of the federal election, things are getting really heated, really tense. Actually, there was video that was surfacing online of a Pierre Poilievre supporter and a Mark Carney supporter, 2 women, middle-aged women, getting into a fist fight in a line to go into a campaign. Unbelievable. You can see the tensions in Canada at this point. The country is just at a tipping point. And you can see that Liberals and Conservatives are not getting along. This is scary stuff, folks. This is a very important, consequential election. People just don't see eye to eye on which direction the country is going, to the point where we're willing to get into fistfights over politics. I haven't seen anything like this in a previous election. Pretty alarming stuff. We've got a lot of news to get to today, and I want to start with this video that has resurfaced of Mark Carney. This is back in his days where he was both advising governments and also working for Brookfield, which is a large investment fund. And he basically admitted to the grift. This is what so many liberal insiders do, right? They work in liberal policies, they advise the government, and they push the government towards enacting certain policies, and then they jump ship and they go and they invest in the companies that get the money from the federal government or get the advantage that the legislation is pointing to, and they make themselves rich. It's so sickening to see people get into politics to make themselves rich, and Mark Carney is admitting that he's an example of that. So
Yeah, listen to this. Look, this is truly a grift. This guy, if he gets in, he's going to get even richer. He's going to make his friends richer. And just listen to, when I watched this, I was like, wow, this guy is, he's got the grift going on for sure.
here he is. I'm going to walk you through this clip. He's at a fireside chat, and he's talking about how he used to provide pro bono consulting work for politicians. And in that pro bono work, he would tell them to bring in policies. And then he goes on to say that those policies help the companies that he's investing in, and it helped to Brookfield mobilize billions of dollars. Let's play this clip.
I do spend some time advising on what, again, pro bono, but advising on the types of policies that are going to have maximum impacts for investors. So I'll give you an example, which is one of the issues. It's not the biggest issue. It's like 2% of global emissions. You wouldn't know it from the headlines, but 2% of global emissions is for air travel, the emissions from air travel. Now, so the question is, are we going to have green, sustainable aviation fuel? What's happened in the UK, the EU, is they've said to...
So you see what he does there. One, he emphasizes that he does this work pro bono, as if he's, some kind of altruistic type person. And then he basically talks down to us and tells us that air travel contributes just 2% of global emissions. Like, so what? So then what you're basically telling us is that because you fly around all over the place, all you guys, Al Gore, who like to fly around in jet planes, you're not really doing much to contribute to the global emissions that you're trying to stop us from doing. And so flying around is fine, right? That's what he's trying to say. That's why he's talking down to us like that.
Major airlines, look, if you're flying in and out of Heathrow or wherever, you have to have 10% of your load has to be sustainable aviation fuel by, I think it's 2030. Consequence of that policy has been to convert some entrepreneurs in Texas, in this case, a company called Infineon, to become economic, because all of a sudden American Airlines, British Airways need to buy that fuel. They'll pay a green premium. You've got an offtake, that's high credit quality. And so in that case, we Brookfield put $1 billion to work there, and it's a fantastic opportunity.
A fantastic opportunity for someone like Mark Carney to invest in companies like the one he was talking about in Texas, where he says that to make them economical, as in to make them make sense as a business, they need that pressure on the governments in order to make airlines purchase that product. This is a scam, folks. This is not a free market economy. This is an example of how the liberals take over an economy. They force taxpayers, and in this case, they write regulation that forces companies to basically subsidize their green empires while also making money. This is so despicable. I think that I don't begrudge someone for making money. I don't begrudge Mark Carney for being a wealthy banker or whatever. But this idea that he's actually making his money by pushing governments for policy that help him, this is scandalous. He is admitting to doing something that should not be allowed in Canadian politics, in any politics. And
so, yeah, this is the grift. Just picture it. He's there talking to policymakers. This is what you should do, right? In the meantime, there he is with Brookfield sitting on the board, telling them, look, this is what I told the government. I told them that they should do this, that, and that. So this company over here is going to benefit from this policy. So we should invest in that company because governments are going to need this product that this company provides. How much more, what are you going to do? So now he's going to be prime minister possibly, I hope not. Guys, wake up. This guy is not for Canada. He's for himself and his friends. He knows how to play the game. That's one thing about Mark Carney. I said before in another video, he's going to be better at being Justin Trudeau than Justin Trudeau was, because Mark Carney is smarter than Justin Trudeau. He's more worldly than Justin Trudeau. He's more in the elite game, so to speak, than Justin Trudeau, and he's a respected guy. People will listen to him more than they did Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau was like a child. Mark Carney at least has some maturity to him, and that's what people are drawn to. And but he's using it well, but people need to see through it. He's going to make himself rich at our detriment, right? He wants to keep Canada's resources in the ground. He said that in his book, that oil is better left, fossil fuel is better left in the ground. And in the meantime, as you saw at the beginning of that Juno News piece, Brookfield is investing in pipelines elsewhere. Please, let's wake up. Let's smell the coffee and see what this guy is up to.
This is one of the things that I really worry about Mark Carney, that we know so little about him. We don't know, I mean, for instance, the whole thing with the blind trust. We don't know where his money is invested. We don't know how much money he has. We don't know where his money, how he made his money, how much of it is through deals with China, how much of it is still in Brookfield. For all we know, he's becoming prime minister so that he can make more money for himself, so that he can enact new policies and direct money towards Brookfield. I did an entire documentary last week talking about how I think that this is the whole purpose of his housing policy, that his housing policy is to create hundreds of thousands of rental units, potentially for Brookfield to own and manage. Go check out that video because I walk you through the entire thing. But this is everything that's wrong with the liberal grift, with liberals pushing the green policies using big government to fund big corporations. It's corporatism, and Canadians should reject this. Canadians should choose to go with the free market approach to things and get big governments and big business away from each other and break them up. And unfortunately, that is not the direction that Mark Carney is going. The Liberals have turned to their dirtiest trick in the books, their oldest trick in the books. Every time there's a federal election, they find a way to bribe the media, to offer the media more money, to give more money to the journalists that are covering them. This is an unbelievable conflict of interest, folks. There is no reason why the federal government needs to fund journalism, and it should be absolutely illegal for them to announce these changes and this funding in the middle of a campaign. They are literally bribing the people whose job it is to hold them accountable during election for all to see. So first, Mark Carney, over the weekend on Friday, he pledged $150 million, you guessed it, to the CBC. He said that they were underfunded. Can you believe it? The CBC gets $1.2 billion a year from taxpayers. Part of the reason they get that much money is because back in 2015, the first time Justin Trudeau was getting elected, he bribed the CBC with more money. That's part of the reason why he won the election, and he gave them huge amounts of money for the positive coverage that he got. The CBC did their duty and covered for Justin Trudeau time and time again during his time as prime ministership. It is an absolute disgrace and a disservice to Canadians that this...
Yeah, it actually is an outrage. It's a total outrage. Like, I don't get it. The CBC is not underfunded. It's overfunded. I bet if Elon Musk and those guys came over here with their Doge, they would like slash the amount of people there who work at CBC. It's just ridiculous.
Is happening. Mark Carney playing from the same playbook. Unbelievable. Here he is speaking in Montreal, talking about his love of the CBC and why it deserves more of our money.
If elected, my government will take action to enshrine and protect and strengthen CBC Radio Canada for generations to come. When it comes to this most important of Canadian institutions, all Canadians should have their say, not just a small group. We will not only increase CBC Radio Canada's funding by $150 million, but we will also make this funding statutory, meaning that Parliament as a whole will need to approve any future changes to its funding, not just the Cabinet.
Unbelievable. So Mark Carney is trying to make it so that even if Pierre Poilievre wins in the future, he won't be able to defund the CBC as promised. Canadians need to speak up. This is an absolute disgrace. They should not get to do this. The CBC is a hard left media organization. They push an agenda. It is bad for Canada. It's bad for Canadians. And the fact that the Liberals are openly bribing them during an election, again, I believe it should be criminal. That's not the only journalist that is getting bribed during this election. So if you recall, the Trudeau government introduced something called the Online News Act. The Online News Act forced the big advertisers online, mainly Google and Facebook, now called Meta, to pay up. They wanted to force these companies to pay Canadian media every time someone shared their link online. Well, Meta said no way and decided to pull news altogether in Canada. Google eventually said yes. So the Liberal government strong-armed Google, forced them to give up $100 million, which went into a fund that the federal government is now distributing to media companies. And lo and behold, in the middle of an election, the checks started coming in for the media companies. So our friends over at The Hub, run by Sean Spear, he put this out. He said in the middle of the election, The Hub received $22,000 thanks to Liberal legislation, while The Hub is doing the right thing and deciding to donate that money to charity. They said that the rest of the news media should disclose what they're getting. Absolutely unbelievable that the checks would get mailed out in the middle of an election just so that all the publishers, all of the editors and newsrooms across the country know where their bread is buttered, that they have to give good coverage to the Liberals in order to continue getting these checks. It is so disgraceful. Folks, this is not a free country. This is not how a free press in a democracy should operate. There is no reason why the government should be involved in the business of news media. And I want to talk a little bit about Pierre Poilievre, because I feel like his message is finally breaking through. He's finally hitting the right note, coming across as the strong leader that we need. His crowd sizes have been absolutely massive. Just so exciting to see. He held a huge rally last week in Kingston, Ontario. The Pleb Reporter was there live streaming, an estimated 3,500 people in attendance. And he was over in Penticton over the weekend as well. Another 3,000 people in attendance there.
So guys, that's Candace Malcolm, Juno News. Yes, go and subscribe to her channel, to their channel. Looks like they do good stuff over there. And she's right. $22,000 to given out to media during an election. People were complaining in the States about Elon Musk giving $1 million to certain voters out in different areas of different states. He was giving them $1 million for different reasons, and everyone's up in arms. Oh, $1 million. In the meantime, we have governments, like governments. I mean, that was Elon Musk. Yes, he's a Trump supporter, but he was doing that on his own. It's his own money. But you're having governments giving money to a free media during an election. Like, I don't know, maybe us as Canadians, we're a little bit, I don't know, is it uninformed, or we don't care? It doesn't matter, we think. Maybe that's it. But one thing for sure is you don't hear about it from CBC. You don't hear about it from anywhere. CTV, Global, the mainstream media don't tell us what's going on. They don't have commentary on these type of issues. Like I listened to Andrew Chang on CBC. He has a program called About That, which does some good stuff. Actually, I kind of like it. But I haven't seen him do anything where he's, maligning some of these programs, some of these policies, where news companies are getting money from the government, especially during an election. And of course, he's not going to do that. I mean, CBC gets the most money from anywhere. And that's where his bread is buttered, which, impacts the integrity of journalism. But let's end. Candace Malcolm ends with a nice little clip here, out of the mouth of babes.
You like that? Hey, look at this little girl. Who is this little girl? What's your name? What's your name? Avery. And what brought you here today, Avery?
To help the country.
To help. She's even got a wonderful handshake. I think we have a future prime minister right here in Avery.
What a great clip. To help our country, to make the country stronger. Guys, Pierre Poilievre is our next prime minister. Let's go out there and make it so. Even if the polls are showing whatever they're showing, those of us who would like Pierre Poilievre to be our prime minister, let's go out and vote. Too big to rig, I have people saying, too big to rig. So let's do it. Like and subscribe, and let's go and make sure that we don't have a fourth term of the Trudeau Liberals. We don't deserve a fourth term here in Canada. We just don't. See you next time, guys.